What's up, soldiers? Your boy Chris here, CaribbeanPod.com. It is springtime here in Canada, which means dandelions. It's a weed, basically everywhere you look. I was fortunate enough this morning, I went to the farmer's market and I got some red dandelions. So this, while the ingredient itself is not something you typically find in the Caribbean, being cooked anyways, I thought I'd treat it as how we would treat spinach or bhaji or Jamaican callaloo. So here we go, a dandelion recipe. Vegans, so they're gonna like this one, man. Survives it up. And these are the red dandelions here. Beautiful bunch. They're all brilliant green. Got that lovely red stem going down through the center there. And I like soaking it in my sink with water, and I usually lift it up to wash it. And what happens is, because there's a lot of water in there, any sort of grit or dirt, because it comes from the dirt, right? It will settle at the bottom. So all we would do is sort of rinse it out thoroughly, keep moving it around there, and then we'll get to chopping it up. Many of the other recipes you'll see online will call for blanching the dandelions in boiling water to sort of tenderize it a bit before cooking, as well as to take off some of that bitterness. I'm just going to trim off the sort of stocky ends here, and I'm going to get rid of that. But I don't usually like doing that to my greens, simply because, you know, we have a saying down in the Caribbean: you can't play mass, which means you can't play carnival if you're afraid powder. So why, you know, this is a greens recipe. It's supposed to have a bit of tartness to it, so I'm not going to blanch it. And I find that by blanching it, when you pour out all that water after you blanched it in there for a good 4 or 5 minutes or something, I would assume most of the nutrients would be boiled out of it. So I want to keep all the nutrients, all that healthy goodness in there. That rough chop there. So I like to sort of steam saute it. And I'm going to add a little bit of coconut milk to bring everything together. So just go ahead and chop it up, maybe 1-inch pieces or so. I have about a tablespoon, just over a tablespoon of coconut oil coming up on a medium flame here. I'm going to turn my heat down now that it's melted, and I'm going to go in with some garlic. And I have here about 4 cloves of garlic, which I sliced relatively thin. If you want to chop it up, you want to crush it, it is totally up to you. I'm going to move that around, heat on low, and let that go for about 30 to 40 seconds or so. I don't want to burn that garlic. I just want to infuse the oil with the flavors of that garlic. As the garlic softens up, I'm going to go in with 2 bird's eye pepper, or 2 bird pepper as we call it down in the Southern Caribbean. That is totally optional. That's just for a gentle sort of kick to it. I'll try not to break it because I don't want that raw heat out of there. The other thing you can use if you don't have those and you want a little bit of a kick is some dried pepper flakes will also work great. I'm going to turn my heat up to about medium now. Just move that oil a little bit all over the pan there. And your kitchen should have that lovely aroma of frying garlic. And here's where we're going to go in right away. Now remember, I said I don't usually blanch my dandelions, because I want to keep all that bitterness and lovely green flavor in the pot. Here's where I'm going to go in with some black pepper. And if you are freshly grated, do your thing. It just so happens that I don't have any more peppercorns at the moment. And some salt. As always, all the ingredients I use here today and the exact measurements will be posted on CaribbeanPod.com, as well as in the description of the video down below. Just want to give it a good stir. And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but you really want to have a pot with a lid, because we're going to sort of steam saute this to get it nice and tender. To help it all come together, to go nice and tender, as I said, I'm going to go in with a bit of coconut milk, and that's just about 1/4 cup of coconut milk. Give it another stir, and that's going to help cook this. It's going to give it a wonderful sort of sweet flavor as well. The combination of the coconut milk as well as the coconut oil that we started off with, you know, is all kind of nice. Is going to be happening here. So all we're going to do now is turn that heat down, lid on, and let that go for about 5 to 10 minutes. It's been going now for about 7 minutes or so. Here's where you're going to taste it for salt. And the other personalization you're going to do here is to either one, burn off all that liquid there immediately, as I am going to do, because this is as tender as I like it. Or if you want it more tender, put the lid back on. Keep going out of focus there. But put the lid back on and allow it to cook for another 4 or 5 minutes. I like finishing it off, and I have some grape tomatoes, which I found in the fridge there. The sort of acidity from that adds a nice flavor. Plus it's nice and colorful on the eyes as well. And I like finishing it off with a bit of lemon juice. While I am a huge fan of all greens, and I could probably eat greens, spinach and all that stuff every day, no kidding, no joking, I get a sort of an itch in the back of my tongue, my throat area down there, and with that lemon juice it helps to prevent that. So I'm going to crank up the heat now and burn off all that liquid. I don't know if you guys can see that, but there we go. That liquid, I want to burn all that off and bring it back to the sort of coconut oil that we started with. If you don't have coconut oil, you can always go in with a nice extra virgin olive oil to start with. Crank up that heat and let all that liquid burn off. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. That liquid is almost gone. Always a pleasure to have you guys here in the kitchen with me. Vegetarians, vegans, you cannot go wrong. If you wanted to add a bit more of a Caribbean flavor to this, you can always start off with some salted cod. You know, man, that thing, well, it will be just ridiculously good. My new word, ridiculously good. It's going to replace wicked for today. Remember to give the video the thumbs up, leave me some comments below, and if you'd like to see a recipe done, hit me up on Twitter or Instagram. Vibes it up, man.